This is VOA News. I'm Liz Pelka. Airstrikes targeted a Turkish army convoy inside a rebel-held part of Syria on Monday. That's the sound of tanks firing and an aircraft overhead in Han Shahun. The Turkish Defense Ministry said 3 civilians were killed and 12 others were wounded. The Syrian government, however, said the convoy entered the country carrying ammunition to help rebels who have lost ground this month amid a government offensive to retake Syria's last rebel stronghold. 2 controversial military figures are among the people chosen to sit on Sudan's Sovereign Council, the body that will lead the country during a 3-year transitional government. In Khartoum, VOA's Isha Sarai has more.
First Lieutenant General Mohammed Hamdan Daglo, otherwise known as Hemeti, and First Lieutenant General Abdul Fattah al-Burhan were named by the now-dissolved Transitional Military Council to represent the military in the new government. However, Hemeti and Burhan are both widely presumed to be responsible for attacks against protesters, which left over 120 people dead in June. And many Sudanese, like Khartoum resident Nader Ali, think they should be on trial instead of in the government.
They should have been jailed and justice should have taken place.
The opposition Forces of Freedom and Change, or FFC, had yet to confirm the names of some of their 5 appointees to the Sovereign Council on Monday. And the all-important tiebreaker seat, set aside for a civilian with military experience, is also unfilled. Isha Sarai, VOA News, Khartoum.
Meanwhile, former President Omar alBashir has gone on trial for corruption charges. Bashir, who was ousted by the military in April, is accused of possessing large amounts of foreign currency. Most Sudanese say the trial is too little, too late. More on voanews.com. This is VOA News. The Open Arms charity says it is willing to defy Italian authorities and dock their migrant ship at the island Lampedusa. The boat with 100 migrants on board is stationed in the Mediterranean Sea off the Italian island, demanding permission to dock after 18 days at sea. The charity said many of the migrants on board are sick, suicidal, and close to mental breakdowns. The group has so far rejected offers from Spain to sail to one of its ports. France, Germany, Luxembourg, Portugal, and Romania have also offered to give the migrants refuge. An Iranian oil tanker seized in Gibraltar for violating European Union sanctions is sailing toward Greece after repeated U.S. requests to detain the ship were rejected. Iran warned the U.S. that any action to seize the ship would result in heavy consequences. 2 freshman Democratic U.S. Congresswomen sharply criticized Israel on Monday after they were denied the chance to visit Jerusalem and the West Bank. AP correspondent Tim McGuire reports.
Congresswomen Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar questioned why they were kept out of Israel. Tlaib, a Michigan Democrat, says other members of Congress were allowed in, but they were not.
Earlier this month, in fact, 71 other members of Congress traveled to Israel, seemingly without incident.
Omar, who is from Minnesota, says Congress needs to consider cutting aid to Israel.
Stop the expansion of settlements on Palestinian land and ensure full rights for Palestinians if we are to give them aid.
Israel says the 2 were denied entry because of their support for an international boycott of the country that is considered a security threat. I'm Tim McGuire.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson will head to Berlin and Paris this week in a bid to persuade German and French leaders to reopen Brexit negotiations. British officials say he will emphasize that if a new agreement cannot be secured, he's ready to lead Britain out of the world's biggest trading bloc on October 31st. Senior EU officials tell VOA neither German Chancellor Angela Merkel nor French President Emmanuel Macron will agree to a new deal to replace the one they struck with Johnson's predecessor, Theresa May. Here's the Prime Minister.
I hope that they will compromise. They have seen that the UK Parliament has 3 times rejected the withdrawal agreement, the backstop. It just doesn't work. It's not democratic. I hope that they will see fit to compromise.
Planning for Johnson's European tour came after leaked British government documents detailing the potentially dire aftershocks of a no-deal Brexit. We have that full story for you on voanews.com. I'm Liz Pelka, VOA News.